Alright, so this is going to be a pretty much just an overview of what you need to play classic BattleTech and a little bit about Alpha Strike and all the little supplements and things like that you need. I'm going to go over the rule books there, the technical readouts, and the era books. Those being probably the most important thing. Now you can download all your sheets from online. I believe they're free, but we'll go more about that later. Let's get started. We're going to talk about the mats and everything, and I'll show you where I got that big mat from. But let's talk about all these boxes here. There's really only two boxes. Dos. The main box that's on the far left, and then the Alpha Strike box. Now, if you're not going to play Alpha Strike, you don't really need the Alpha Strike box, but the Alpha Strike box has everything you need to play Alpha Strike. The only difference with Alpha Strike is there's no hex on the maps. And I believe soon for pre-order, they're coming out with maps with no hexes for just meant for Alpha Strike. The main box here is really the only box you need to get started. And that comes with mats, that comes with this 2 dice, all the record sheets, and some mechs. And it's a good amount of mechs. There's also mechs in there that you can't get anywhere else. Out of these 2 beginner boxes, because they're both technically like beginner boxes, but the one on the right, when it comes with 2 mechs, I don't recommend that at all. Don't bother with that $15 box unless you're teaching like a 13-year-old kid how to play. Alright, so I wouldn't even mess with that at all. Either get the main box for like $50 and get the Alpha Strike box, because the Alpha Strike box comes with some, I believe, unique mechs too. So if you're going to start from scratch, the main battle box is pretty much the best thing, because it's going to give you just the basic rules for mechs. You're not going to get the aero space stuff. You're not going to get the tanks. Not going to get the elementals. This box right here, unless you're a completionist, there's one unique mech in there, and there's a unique map for arenas. To me, that's just like, that's something you get way down the line. I wouldn't even bother. These 2 boxes, in my opinion, are the most important boxes. Now, once you get, if you're going to go down the route of Classic, I recommend you get the Clan Invasion. This is going to have clan mechs. It's going to have rules for the elementals and stuff, and it's going to come with elementals. So you're kind of adding on to that basic rule set with the infantry, because elementals are technically infantry. They're just in power armor. And you're also introducing clan technology, which is going to change the game up quite a bit. And you'll see the difference between Inner Sphere versus clan. How clans actually, you know, they weren't civil warring all the time, so technology advanced. Where Inner Sphere, they enjoyed nuking planets and whole systems, so technology was just lost in a flash of light. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the battle mats. You have 3 routes to go: paper, the mouse pad, or you can go third party and get the big roll. Now, the paper is okay. It's great for starting. It's not good. It's not water resistant. It'll tear. Everyone has that greasy friend, or the friend who puts fucking cheesy puffs on his hands. And, or, you know, if you put a glass that's condensating next to it, it's going to fuck up the paper, you know. I recommend getting the mouse pad. They run for about $40. I think there's about 4 of them out now, and they're double-sided. And they're bigger, which is great. They're way more detailed, and they're beautiful, and they are high quality. You can beat the shit out of these compared to the paper any day. And they roll up, and then you can put them right back in that little box. easy to transport, and they're very. I just think they're fucking beautiful. Now this is a third-party company that made this. This goes for about $40. There's the website. It's still around. This is the brown one, or the desert. There's also a green. They do a water, a sky, and I think space with stars. And you just have to click on, there's like a hexes for 1.5 or 2 inches. This is the 2-inch, because that's the scale for like BattleTech. And I had to write the numbers on the side because it doesn't come with any kind of like grid system for the numbers. So if you want to play the more advanced games with artillery and call artillery down, that's really the only way to do it. Until they start making 4x6 sheets, which I don't think they will. But I'll harass the shit out of them online whenever they go onto a live YouTube video. I won't stop bothering them. It's not gonna stop. Okay, so with Alpha Strike, you're gonna need just measuring tape and dice. You're gonna need dice for both the games, but for the Alpha Strike, you don't have to. You could play it on fucking anything. You don't need any kind of hexes. It works off the measuring tape, and you don't even need any of the error books. You just go off what the cards say, and it's very, very simplified game. It's not a bad game. I talk shit about it every now and then because to me it's too watered down. But you won't need any of these error books if you're playing Alpha Strike. Now, if you're playing Classic, you're gonna wanna. I would say you'd want to own these because 1, they're fucking great. 2, I just take them over to my scanner and print them. The 3067 book is probably going to be one of the hardest books to find, but they're out there. They're made by WizKids. Horrible record sheet designs. I shake. It pisses me off. It's the only error book they did, but it is the thickest book. And if you're looking for tons of old mechs with tons of new loadouts, that is a sweet fucking book to get. I believe you can just download online. So with your error books, these are like your codexes. If you're from 40K, I'll try to explain shit to the numbers, the 3075 and all that shit. That's like the year. And so every couple of years, every couple of years, new technology, new mechs come out. Sometimes they take old mechs and then they repurpose them. They add Inner Sphere mechs will steal clan technology or retrofit shit, and just like they mix it up. And also during different eras, there's different timelines, like the World of Blake, where the mechs are more like you put on a helmet and it's like wired into your body more, and it's more like an anime. So the eras have like unique styles and shit. So like there's the Tarantula and Scorpion mechs, really old mechs in there, but they redo them pretty good. It's just the record sheet style really sucks. But this is a really good book. As much shit as I talk about it, it's got some unique mechs in there. I like some of the catapult remakes with the rockets instead of missiles. So there's infantry, tanks. There's all kinds of shit. And I'm gonna recommend the main rule book to go with. So your first era book there on the top left, there's no clan stuff at all. And then the second book here, I recommend the 3039 if you're just starting. Stick with that shit. All the mechs are like bare bones basic. This is when mechs just fucking showed up and no one knew what they were doing. So their weapon loadouts kind of suck. Their heat management really sucks. You have to learn how to like control a mech and like worry about overheating and shit like that. The 3050, that's when the clans invade. and you start to see like the difference between clan and inner sphere. Also, the 3050 book is really fucking solid. That's like probably all the great clan shit is in that book. 3055, you start seeing some inner sphere stuff that was supposedly lost, and then they found it again. And that's pretty much it. And then you just have different styles of mechs, and you kind of get like trends and shit. Like you'll start, some books will have a lot of the quad walkers and stuff like that. The mechs, like there's cool ideas behind them, but like practical wise, they're not that great. And I think the art on the fucking cover is like solid. Like the Mad Cat, as much as I don't like the mech, that's such a fucking great cover. I also like the fucking phone. No one texts me all day. Fucking here's the Hunchback. I think there's like 2 or 3 versions of the Hunchback in here that are pretty cool, where they retrofit the AC. 3060, you got the heavy missile boat. I think it's the Viking there in the back left. Pretty badass mech. A real like missile boat. I have that mech in metal. One day I'll do a video about like all the mechs I have. The Elementals. I really like the Era books. I think they're a smart buy. I bought all of mine on eBay. Super fucking cheap. So let me show you this real quick. So your technical readouts. The main purpose of your technical readouts is that when you buy the main box, it shows you how to build a mech and shit, or it talks about it a little bit. You can get blank sheets, and all the information that's in this book, you can apply it to that blank sheet and make your mech. So like here's the old school, Black Knight, which is an old school mech that's been retrofitted for the modern times, and all that information there, by reading it, you can put that on a blank record sheet and build a mech out of it. So that's the main difference from the technical readouts. Plus they come with like a whole page on the left with like lore, when the mech was first probably like built and shit. They just talk about like it's almost like one is just telling you the information, but it has value. So like I don't have this book here in a record sheet version. So at least with the technical readout, if I had a blank sheet, I can use all these mechs. And if I went out and bought like a mech from like Iron Winds, I can fill out a sheet myself. And here's like an old one. I love this one because it's got my Bushwhacker on the cover. It's just one of my old favorite Inner Sphere mechs. Ugly as fuck, but like a pug, cute at the same time. And this shows how old it is. Look at those pictures. Definitely from the like 90s and shit. But that's good about the technical readouts. You don't need them. Like right now, I'll probably pick up a couple more because I just want to collect them, and I think they're kind of cool if you want to like read the lore. But if you don't have the Era books, the technical readouts will help you build a list. One thing I would recommend is try to get a Era book and the same technical readout book. That way you can kind of like see how the information goes, and it just makes it easier because it's like a visual guide to help you. So here are the 2 main rule books. You got your Total Warfare and your Tactical Operations. Your Total Warfare, there's a 3rd or 2nd rule book out there called the BattleTech Manual. It's a smaller version of the Total Warfare, and pretty much it's leaving out like your infantry, your tanks. It's just like old school BattleTech with just the mechs. I recommend getting the Total Warfare. It's not that hard. I've seen people talk about like, oh, get the manual first. It's really not that fucking difficult, trust me. It's not hard to figure out what's going on. It's the same rules. They just add more shit to it. You know, the tanks, the helicopters and stuff. If you just want to worry about the mech stuff, just read all the up to the mech stuff. Once you get to anything else, just stop. And I would recommend get the turns and the basic part of the games down, the shooting and all that shit, and then start adding like tanks and helicopters and the planes and the aerospace. Add all that shit later. But like once you get the basics down for the mechs, everything else is going to fall into line because it all works the same. It all, you know, it's all hex based. It's really fucking simple. I can understand why people like the manual a little bit better because it's easier to like navigate. There's less shit in there, but I think the Total Warfare book is perfectly fine. You don't have to buy another $30 book, and it's got everything. And I haven't had any problems. So the Total Warfare book covers these era books on the left. Your Tactical Operations covers all the era books that I'm going to have on the right. So in BattleTech, time progresses and so does technology. So you had your LRMs, SRMs, PPCs, all your basic shit, machine guns. Well, in the future, you know, instead of machine guns, they have like laser machine guns. Instead of your regular anti-missile systems, they have laser anti-missiles. Your missile launchers now are multiple warheads for, you know, you have heavy PPCs now. You got like Gauss rifles that are like machine guns, anti-infantry, plasma weapons. You have new armor, you have new endosteel, you have new tech, all kinds of new shit. And that's what the Tactical Operations is. It pretty much takes the later era books and all the information in there, like your rotary ACs, autocannons and stuff. That's what it pretty much covers in, you know, it covers those later era books, basically. And so this book here, your technical manual, the whole point of this book is if you want to build a tank or a mech or a plane from scratch, like, okay, here's my Mad Cat. I want to change this armor, though. I want to change the internals. Let's put these heat sinks instead of that. And it has all the point systems so that you can actually build the mech and then build out the cost for the mech. And it also, I think, covers it in like C-bills. And it covers all the weapons from the older era books and the newer era books. So that's pretty much it. Getting the plastic box sets of mechs right now are really good. They're about $30 to $40, and you get either like 4 to 10, or not 10, like 4 to 6. It's way, way cheaper now to build a mech list, or even to get a whole bunch of mechs. When Iron like wins medals, like most of my old mechs, they went from like $11 to $15 per mech, and you know, they only came in metal. They were outdated looking scopes from the 90s. It's way better to play BattleTech now, and unlike 40K, none of your shit can be like erased or canceled or done away with. Older era stuff is constantly being refreshed, and later era books, everything is fucking valid. And they update the main rules every now and then, and it's very like slight stuff, like maybe the order of phases. So I recommend those 2 boxes there, and just these 2 rule books with the era books. That's really all you need, and everything else will just fall into place. Other than that, there's not too much to say. This is way cheaper than 40K. The games, when you start getting into the Tactical Operations and you start adding tanks and infantry, you play on like a 4x6, where that book right there will be probably useless in a year and a half, if that. everything just stays valid. And you can have drop ships, shit coming from space, landing on a planet, dropping off troops. And you could do all of that where it's like land, sea, and air, space. There's BV, there's C-bills, so if you want to do like RPGs and shit and buy parts, there's just so much more you could do with BattleTech than I would say any other like war game, tabletop wars game out there. I really recommend it. The game for Classic can be a little bit long, sometimes like 5 hours, but other than that, it's really a great game. Again, you can get all your record sheets from online. Just buy these 2 books, and you buy the mechs you like. Super fucking simple. Other than that, I don't know what to say. It is way cheaper. Nothing goes out of date. And it's really a solid game. Buy that, the starter box. Give it a shot. I guarantee you'll like it. Alright, that's all. Take care. Bye-bye.